You're listening to the Blind Android Users Podcast.
This is Android Basics, in which we bring you up to date on the things that you should know to use your Android phone.
Let's now move on to our second Android Basic segment, and let's talk about the QPR program. Google is dropping the QPR on the 18th of this month, and that's Monday. So by the time you're listening to this, if you're in India, it's probably already Monday there, or whatever the time it might be. But we just want to let people know that this is happening. And because of the mess that we have this year with Android 14, things got turned upside down. Everything got turned on its head. And so things are not in the order that they were supposed to be. And frankly, when I read this stuff, I kind of got dizzy. It didn't make sense to me. We'll put a little URL in the show notes so you guys can read about it. But basically, the crux of the matter is this. On Monday, the 18th, Google is going to start the QPR program for Android 14. Usually it happens this year or this time of year, and then the first drop happens in December. But if you're interested in the beta, that is the QPR beta, you sign up in September. Now, usually that happens after the final release of that particular version of Android. But of course, it didn't happen this year. We didn't see the final release of Android 14 in August. So the QPR is coming on first before the final release. Now, here's what is getting me dizzy, or where I get a tizzy, is the fact that if you don't unenroll from the Android 14 beta and the QPR drops in on Monday, your system automatically gets it. You automatically get enrolled, even if you don't choose to enroll in the QPR program. Now, when the final release of Android 14 comes in October, and this is where it gets muddy for me, is that when you get it, and if you want to not be part of that QPR program, your stuff is going to get wiped. So if you don't want your stuff to get wiped, you have to unenroll. And if you unenroll, then don't go back to Android 13. Well, so if you unenroll, then they're saying do not take the Android 13 offer that says, okay, you can roll back, because if you do, something would happen and you're not going to get whatever. I don't understand it. That's the part I read and I read again and again, and I didn't understand it at all. So it's so muddy. And frankly, I blame Google on this one. You guys, what do you think? It's just, I can make heads and tails out of it.
That is the part that even I didn't understand, because when there is a pending system update available for you of Android 13, and then how will you get another system update for Android 14 when the final version rolls out in October? You have to complete the pending update first, and then it will give you another update. My second comment is that whenever a major Android release has been released, our principle of telling our listeners has always been format your device when you update from, let's say, Android 13 to Android 14 or Android 12 to Android 13. So Google is doing this thing for you simpler, where the only option is format your phone and get rid of the beta and whatever bugs they may have and start clean. So that is the two things that Google is doing, and I don't know what they're going to do, because the third thing that I also have is someone might be getting fed up at Google with so many betas. So the betas just continue with a different name of QPR. So the betas of Android 14, I think, still continue up to December. I don't know what they're going to do.
I think it makes sense there, Austin. So maybe Google, instead of saying, hey, here's Android 14 beta 5.6, we're just going to call it QPR beta 1. That totally makes sense. But frankly, I don't know how this thing is going to be. It's a mess up. It's total mess up. Well, it is Google. It's possible that maybe when they push this Android 14 final out, it will replace the notification for your update or rollback to Android 13. For me, though, personally, it doesn't make sense or it doesn't matter to me because I always reformat my devices anyway. So if I leave mine in there for the QPR, I'll always, get the update and just reformat my whatever if I want to go out of the beta. But I always stay in the QPR program. So for me, it's not a problem. But if you are not the type that have been wanting to be part of the QPR betas, then this is something to keep in mind.
Even I stay in the QPR thing, and when you have the policy on your system where the update downloads and installs at 2 a.m., I don't know how you're going to stop that from happening.